The Killer Growth Podcast starts now.
What's up, guys? Sam McVay here with Killer Growth, and today I have Ted Kriwiel with Honeystack.agency and founder of 8 Oaks. This is going to be so hard.
You can try it.
I'm just going to, the intro is the hardest part of the whole podcast, and I rarely get them right. They are tough.
You could practice them.
Yeah, that's true. Should I put some thought into the episodes?
No. I wouldn't do that.
Do them?
It'd ruin the vibe.
Yeah, that's fair. Teddy Kriwiel is my.
See, that feels more natural.
I know,
can't call me
but
Ted.
you go by Ted everywhere else.
Yeah,
I was trying to honor that.
Come on.
All right.
You know who I am.
Ted Word.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have a weird first question for you, but I'm going to first go into our backstory because I've been excited to have you on. I don't really care what you're doing in life. I'm just excited.
We'll get to it. I've heard this is 3 hours long. We'll have plenty of time. We can cover all the things.
Excited to have an excuse to sit for an hour with you and talk. Teddy and I go way back, childhood best friends. What is your first memory you have of me? And I will tell you my first memory of you, and I'm really struggling with it, to be honest.
Like you're still mad about it?
No, I'm struggling with if it is or not. I'm still mad.
Yeah.
You're still mad about the first time you met me.
So much of my memories of you are from, like, those early formative memories are like the house on Denver.
Yeah.
Was your guys' house on Denver?
Because
we were at a corner.
Yes, we were on Denver. We were a corner lot on Denver. You were a corner lot 2 blocks down on Denver.
Yeah. So, like, I think walking to the edge of that street, not being able to cross the street, and talking to each other over that street. I remember that just like really vividly. Because we would have been like 5, maybe 4 or 5, something in that range. And then I remember you having an apple tree in your front yard. I remember doing a lot of climbing on that. And I remember that you guys could pee outside.
And you always talk about
I just remember
you always talk about that, but I'm like, was that in Derby or
no?
You think that was on Denver?
Oh, it's on Denver.
We were peeing
one
outside.
Street away from Main Street, or from Central, 1 block away from Central. You guys were
right,
whipping it out.
like a block from the Apple Market or whatever.
The on the way to the grocery store. Yeah, there's some McVay boys out there.
They're walking out of the grocery bag and they could see us taking a whiz.
I remember that because you guys also did it at our house, and I just remember like being like, whoa, this is, and I remember asking my mom about it and she was like, absolutely not. You cannot pee outside. And I was like, the McVays are doing it. And I just remember that was just, and I think that was like pointing to like, you guys were country boys. Like it was coming eventually. It was like you were going to move
meant to be
to out there a little bit.
That's
remember that.
Amazing. And a lot of urine in our
there's a lot of stories about urine. Yeah, for sure. I think the other story, this one's kind of a sad one, but it's always been endearing to me. You had a slingshot and you killed a bird and you were so sad.
Oh yeah.
You were
that was in Derby.
That was in
Not
Derby?
in Denver.
All right. Well, I mixed the timelines. I was 5. Okay. I wasn't taking notes.
A lot happened between like 4 to 10 years old.
I really
between Denver and Derby, right? We had a lot of experience.
I thought that was on Denver. I remember the apple tree. I've always pictured it on Denver because I wasn't there. It was just relayed to me. So,
right.
I didn't witness the murder.
No, I remember. I remember that moment because it was the first thing I had ever killed, and it was in Derby. And obviously, I don't even think I was 10 yet, or maybe I just turned 10 and just had that birthday party, the famous birthday party. But the bird, I hit the bird, and the bird just goes like this, and its feet stayed connected to the branch, and it just swung till it came to a still. And that, I can still see that so vividly in my mind. And you know that moment, you're like all hyped up, you're like a boy and then you find out what kind of boy you really are. I was not
this
a killer.
Explains everything. Like, you don't. What's your name of your
just all
company?
made
Like Killer
sense.
Growth?
Killer
I was like,
Growth.
I think you're going against the grain, man. I don't think that's you.
None of it lines
It's
up.
like lover is what you are.
Oh, man.
You're just so kind.
And then
you
I
care
got
so
into
much.
trapping, actually, and that fit more of my personality.
Yeah.
I started building traps out there and caught a possum or two. But yeah, that's amazing. So you're in. Okay, so I've been debating. I think my first memory is at the church.
I have lots of memories
At
there,
a Sunday school at the Topeka building.
Okay.
I think might be
Is this
before the Denver.
Topeka
because
building, like the
apartment building that we lived in.
Yeah.
Our first apartments together. I think you might have lived somewhere else.
Okay,
before
but
that.
as when we were like in our 20s.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
We weren't.
It's
10.
funny because you're just like the building. And I'm
know.
like, yeah. I know,
Anybody outside
yeah. I know the building.
So there's this
That
apartment
one.
building that pretty much everyone we know lived in at some point in this region.
Yeah.
That's an exaggeration.
I have lots of memories there.
Big time. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, lots of memories.
Okay, but sorry.
But yeah, I was
we went to
debating
church
on if
there.
it was Denver or when we went to church at Topeka because I have a couple like memories in that sanctuary, and I don't think we lived at Denver when we went to church there. I think we came to that
Interesting.
after. So that's
Interesting.
where my brain's like. I need to ask my mom. I'll find out that timeline.
I don't
can't
remember anything.
It doesn't really matter.
Our parents don't remember anything.
Yeah.
We should
No.
have been taking notes, man.
Correction, you can't remember
Yeah, that's
anything.
very possible.
I'm shocked.
That's very possible.
I'm shocked you remember everything you just said.
Yes.
It's impressive.
I'm not known for my memory.
All right, let's buckle up. So we're
Wait, what's your memory of me?
I just said at the church.
I forgot. But what were we doing at the church?
I just
that
have
I was
vivid
there.
memories of me like tying my shoe, playing with like Jamie, that big tall guy, Copeland, Micah.
Yep. Can we
Beal.
say names here on the show?
Yeah, you can say whatever you
names?
want.
All right.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
going to bleep it out there?
No. Beep.
Yep.
I don't think their names are trademarked.
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
it's
They might not want to
public
be
domain.
associated, though.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't even know.
I remember,
where they're at,
Jamie
but-
Copeland. I remember being stunned because Jamie Copeland was taller than Luke Beal, but Luke Beal was older than Jamie Copeland.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
just could
It's
not
just
compute.
like,
Just was like,
mind blown.
how did this happen? What's going on? So I remember that. I remember chasing Savannah Beal in between, like after the service, and going and hiding under the tables and stuff. I remember like
playing games
games like that
Yeah.
when you're 5 or 6, like
Yeah.
running around. Like I think that
I remember the
30 minutes
steps
after
of
church.
the Topeka building, like the landing and steps. Like I have a bunch of pictures of just goofing off out there. Like not like vivid memories. I just remember like church would get out and everybody would just hang out there.
That was the best time.
Which was those are great times. And then walking across the street, obviously those are the core memories.
And playing basketball at the middle school,
Yes.
watching our
Oh,
dads
yeah.
play basketball
Oh, yeah.
there. Man, that was
I don't remember that very well. Watching them play and not playing. You have a lot of memories of that I don't. But I also didn't like play sports till later. So I don't think I was like really into basketball. I'm sure I was like digging a hole and you were actually watching. I kind of came late to that party.
I remember thinking your dad and my dad just like walked on water.
Yeah,
they were
were like
among men.
Yeah, I didn't really touch a basketball till like I think 5th or 6th grade. Like I didn't play before that when we were first here in El Dorado. So I remember my dad used to go play all the time and I didn't really care. I don't remember paying attention.
Whoa. How did you get so good? How did you get so
Tried
good so fast?
real hard. I had nothing else to do.
You just flipped
Played
a
ball.
switch in middle
All
school?
my friends played
Was it
ball.
middle school?
Yeah. 6th
Man,
grade.
that is wild.
First league. Yeah. It's a good time. Oh, it's because of you and Andrews and all my friends played
That's
ball.
what we
all the
did.
time.
Yeah, if you
That's all
wanted
we
to be
did.
our friends.
If I wanted to be your friend, I had to play ball.
Gordy Park.
So I joined the club. Peer pressure.
Yeah.
That's why.
So what is this podcast about?
I don't know yet. I'm still deciding.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen.
We did good. That was only 8 minutes and 40 seconds. I thought that was going to turn into 20 minutes and we were going to be like, oh God, we have a lot to cover. But here we go. Now we're here.
Okay.
Teddy, Honeystack, 8 Oaks, and everything before.
Okay.
I reversed that timeline. I could have started with
Sure.
Teddy woke up. He was awake.
I was awake.
He was alive.
I became.
He became. And then fast forward. I think it'd be fun to talk about Teddy after high school. What he went after to the 8 Oak nonprofit all building up to Honeystack, and then the technology in between. And then I'll interrupt you, but I think that would be great for everyone to hear that journey to Honeystack.
All right. So Teddy after high school. Some of my better versions, I'll say, after high school of Teddy's as they go. I think I went to college after high school. There you go. Went to Wichita
Nailed
State.
it.
I think.
Relaxing voice, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
I know. He keeps.
If you ever need a new host,
He does. It's really funny though, because he kind of goes into this almost like this weird, like creepy thing that is so not his normal.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, yeah. So after
NPR.
you're right.
They're
yes.
NPR.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's like
I'll go.
some-
Could you come sit down? I like
there's
the way
this
you're
real-
describing me.
There's this
better
real
than my
voice
childhood
right there.
best friend. No, that's great. So I started. I went to college. I think just in general, I was a very serious kid. I was very serious. I wanted to be an adult for most of my childhood, and I was trying to grow up very fast. So even when I went to college, I immediately was like, I'm going here because I feel culturally responsible to. Like there was a lot of pressure among my peers and my parents to go to college. Yeah. I think, and I didn't mind going to college. Like I didn't mind academics, but I also was like, this is a waste of my time. Like I really just had this of like, I really wanted to just start companies. Like that was, so I studied entrepreneurship at Wichita State. And even that, I'm jumping to it. Like I actually didn't really know particularly what I wanted. I took one geology class my freshman year. And I was like, and it was about volcanoes and tectonic plates and like weather patterns and it was like about, it was so cool. And I even took the class thinking it was geology. I thought in my head it was astronomy. Like that's how little I knew. I was like, I got in there, I was like, planets, baby, solar systems, let's go. Pluto's a planet, that kind of thing. And it was about like rocks and dirt. And like,
who was your advisor?
I don't know. And this is the other thing too. Like it was so silly. I loved it. This professor blew my mind. And I was like, I want to study geology. So I changed my major to geology for a semester. And then I went thinking about volcanoes and like tectonic plates. And the first class was an entire semester, and it was like multiple. There was like labs included where we looked at rocks. In a shelf of rocks, which for those of you that don't know, that is what geology is. Like I didn't know it until I got in. So I spent a whole year doing geology. So I know some stuff about the, I don't know that much.
There we go. This is like someone who says they know Spanish. Yeah, I took like 4 years of Spanish. Yeah. Can you say something?
Yeah.
No.
Maybe later. So I did, I didn't know particularly what I wanted to do, but I wasn't very serious as a student, I don't think. I knew I wanted to start companies, so I went to entrepreneurship, and I studied. Wichita State has one of the few entrepreneurship programs in the country. Like, it's a weird thing to try and study at school. Like, it's actually very counterintuitive to think that you could teach entrepreneurship in a book or like from a professor. And even some of our best professors made that clear. As they were talking, they're like, you actually can't really learn this in this room. We're just going to share like stories and teach you like how the great entrepreneurs have done it as best we can. But there was I had this what I thought was a great idea. My dad thought it was a great idea too. We spent many hours thinking about it. You and I have, there's so many memories at Quick Trip.
Oh yeah, we lived there.
What was
I spent all my summer money at Quick Trip.
Rooster
Booster slushies.
Oh my gosh, man. Those should have been illegal.
Whoever lives at 141 North Emporia, El Dorado, Kansas, I apologize. If you look under that carpet, that wood is ruined. We spilled so much Rooster Booster. And I remember seeing that red, and scrubbing that wood, it's deep.
It's gone.
It's in the grain.
We would put golf clubs on our back at your house in Emporia, ride our bikes to Quick Trip, get some Rooster Booster, ride bikes more to the golf course in 105 degree heat.
And we'd quit golfing pretty quick.
Yeah. And then we just go look for balls in the creeks. Yeah.
Wow.
That was the game. Golf was
to always end with, should we go get a Jamocha shake or another Rooster Booster?
The calorie intake and the heat.
We kept it neutral.
It was amazing.
Did our best.
I love Quick Trips. That was the segue there.
I know. And by the way, this idea was already talked about on the podcast. Caitlin Berry was Caitlin Meyer was on the podcast, was in your entrepreneurship
No way.
class, already told this story. What you're about to tell has already been said on this podcast.
Someone
But
else
you
has
should say it
even
again.
mentioned this?
Yes. Yeah. She was in yours. She owns Bruco and Dilly Deli.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was in, and she remembers your gas station idea. She brought it up. Yeah. It was
What?
crazy. Yeah.
I've
It's a
never heard
terrible
any-
idea.
It's not great.
We made fun
it's
of
not
it
great.
like crazy.
I loved
dog.
it though so much. I love it.
Isn't that cool?
You go to the pump. The way gas stations make money is by the stuff inside.
Yeah.
Gas, you really barely. I mean, it's almost a loss leader for gas stations making money on gas. They need you to come inside because they mark up on the snacks. But pay at the pump, no one's going to come inside. So how do you deliver the snacks? It's a distribution problem. And I was like, banks are doing it every day with pneumatic tubes. We got to get some pneumatic tubes. Yes. You got a touchscreen out there. You order your snack. They whip it together, slide it through the pneumatic tube straight out. And
yeah.
It's like you don't even have to
good
leave
idea.
your car. You've got a captive audience. It's a great idea. I pitched this. I feel really good about it. And obviously I was compelling. If someone's still talking about this, I'm stunned, but I'm honored deeply.
You should be.
And the professor afterwards, I was like, no, I'm really serious about this. And I was like, what would be my next step? And he said, I think what you would need to do is get more familiar with the pneumatic tube industry. So he said, I would recommend going and like working at a pneumatic tube company for a few years to like figure it out.
Solid advice.
And I was like, oh yeah, I don't want to do this job at all. Like I don't actually care about this idea. I mean, it was just immediate. It was just immediate how quickly I was like, oh yeah, I don't want this. And it was also clear he was like no nonsense about it. Of like the first exercise we had to do was write down 100 business ideas. And he said, if I can Google any one of them, they don't count. And so the score was out of 100.
yeah.
Score was out of 100. And he said, you've got to solve a problem. And they were like one sentence business ideas.
Yeah.
And, at that time I was holding on to each idea so with like precious of like, this is the coolest idea. I think one of them it was before Audible. I had the idea for us, and it was even before Spotify. It was Pandora for books.
Yeah.
And like, that's a pattern matching.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we like it in this format, change the content slightly and people would like it in this other medium. Like that's a great observation as a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
That's never going to become a company. Like that pattern matching is not it. Like that's not the thing. Like 1 million people could find that same pattern. What you actually needed was like, I don't even know what, like industry connections and understanding the technology, like 10,000 other things that it's like not about just sitting around coming up with ideas. So it was weird to try and study that in a class, but I think there was some really, I was dismissive of it for the first decade, but I find myself returning to it when I have an idea and I have to vet, do I feel this in my bones? Or is this just a fun idea that I'm going to use as a distraction to like distract me from my real work? And that's been a really good litmus test. Like there's actually very few things that I've had deep conviction on. Like the pneumatic tube idea is a fun idea.
Right.
There's a good reason it hasn't happened. I don't know what it is. Like I haven't vetted
I just
it.
remember my favorite part of that conversation was us just picturing rooster boosters going through the pneumatic tubes. Just like, how would this play out? How can we get the foam right? Like,
Yeah.
They've got to bottle this stuff.
Yeah, the straw.
That's the only
there's some limitations to it. The hot food going through those, I don't know.
It's a good idea for the certain menu items. Like it seems like a Buc-ee's thing, but then they probably want you to walk past all the other things, and then it's whatever. But yeah, back to your point. That's a really good deduction of fun idea to what's an idea at my core that I feel in my bones.
I think also the thing of like, this is, if you're going to start something, first off, probably not going to work. So just categorically, whatever you're going to start, it's just so impossibly hard to get anything to be real in the world. So very likely to fail. It's going to be 10 times harder than you think. And you're going to want to quit often. Mm-hmm. So like he said, one task that I would have to do is like do more research.
You're out.
And I'm out. I'm like, nope, not for me. That is just so evident. Like I did not care about that idea. It was an interesting pattern. It was an interesting pattern that I was able to identify. And pattern matching is really valuable, but that's not, just seeing a pattern is not the same thing as being like, I've got the grit and determination to make this happen. And that's a brutal world. You know all about that.
Yeah. Do I?
Oh, yeah. You taking some lumps.
Yeah. Failed a lot. Okay.
What were we talking about?
It's going to be a recurring pattern.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
No. Yeah,
Here's what we were talking about. Here's what we're
both.
both thinking about. We both keep picturing the Rooster Booster.
Oh, man.
It just keeps flashing.
It's like right down my spine.
Yeah.
I can feel it. I haven't done something like that in a long time, man. I don't do the Red Bull stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't
either.
Is it really bad when I laugh that loud?
No,
Okay.
it's perfect.
I'm
No,
gonna
you'd
blow out
be
the
shocked what these do. I mean, I scream a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like, I don't know, working some magic. Shout out, right? Just like, it's about the only complaint we got on the podcast is my Tourette's.
You can bleep it out in post.
So we were going idea entrepreneurship school.
Yeah, you said
to-
high school after. Yeah.
You're basically at the end of your degree now.
Yeah.
Learned about that, and then
My dad and mom were both entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely like, I think there is something really powerful about my dad. It's the same way that like NBA players whose fathers were professional athletes. There's that definitely doesn't make it inevitable. Lots of professional athletes, kids do not become professional athletes. But if your father was a professional athlete and he was also just the guy around your house, being a dad, in like it normalizes that career in a way that there's no other way to find that.
Yeah.
And so I think it is an absolute advantage for Steph Curry's dad. He grew up going to NBA games watching his dad play. Like,
he's not really that good. He just had a dad that had connections.
He didn't work that hard. Oh my gosh. It's too late. I already said that was a joke. It's like the hardest worker ever. It's an advantage though, because it makes something so inaccessible familiar.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of my friends, when they think about making the leap to entrepreneurship, there is fear and there's a lot of failure in it. So the fear is like rational. But for me, because I watched my mom and my dad try so many things and not successful things often, like they've only had a few successes and they've tried a lot more things than that. And just to see how effortless they were able to move from one idea to the next and have almost no shame in failure. Like it's a beautiful thing. Like I had to grow in that because like I think there is a lot of shame associated with failure and that will kill you. Like you can't be an entrepreneur if you're ashamed if you make a mistake and fail. And so I think that exposure definitely, I was like, my dad can do it, so of course I can do it. That is almost an entitlement to it, which is a huge privilege that I'm grateful for.
Yeah, that's good. I've never thought about it that way.
Do you feel like I guess your dad wasn't, I still think of your dad as very entrepreneurial, of like a starter of things. Do you feel like that
he's
was
a builder and
do you feel like you had that kind of in your bones where you could just start stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was definitely, they did a little bit of it. They dabbled just a tad in some business stuff in between ministry
we
stuff.
did some furniture stuff. I broke a lot of that
At the end of the
furniture.
day, it's exactly what you said. And I think it's like coming from big families too, right? I'm oldest of 9, you're oldest of 12.
Yeah.
And I think you're just, your fear of failure changes, or how you handle failure, how you view failure, has a lot to do with how you handle change. And I think when you're in a big family, there's so much change and the dynamics change so quickly all the time because there's another one, right?
Yeah.
And the whole dynamic changes again.
Yeah.
So I kind of associate like failure as change. And when you're when you're in an environment with a lot of change, I think entrepreneurship is more attractive. And you kind of have it at your core where you can jump into it a little easier than someone that had a pretty normal life, pretty consistent. Everything was predictable.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like that's kind of where I put my, not the business model growing up around that for me as much as just being able to handle change. And so therefore the risk of failure to me just looked like another chapter, right? It's kind of like, oh yeah, I've seen my parents fail. I've seen them go backwards and everything was okay. Seems like everybody's okay. And then, that happened again. And so, it's kind of a different vantage point probably than what you had as far as the view of it or the take on it. But right in ministry, it changed like several times what his role was, where he was doing it.
Yes.
But he kind of had the final say. It wasn't like a job. Like he was creating those places he went to do ministry.
Yes.
So 100%, very entrepreneurial, very different sector, right?
I think the other thing that my my dad modeled for me that I really admire is that I think he grew up. I don't know if he was ever diagnosed with it, but I think he thinks he was dyslexic. He had a really hard time reading. His eyes couldn't track on the page, and so he went into high school. He was an incredible athlete. Yeah. Played college football at Wichita State. Their high school team won state all 4 years he played. His dad was a legendary coach. He was a great athlete, and he was really a poor student. And it's because he was just I couldn't read, and he felt like he was dumb. And he wasn't, of course, he wasn't dumb. He has just like really good instincts and just a cleverness about him and a resilience about him. But that insecurity that he had, which he carries with him probably still to this day, like that's childhood stuff. Right. Like remembering having to read in front of a class and not being able to, just that goes straight to your bones. And my dad carried that with him. And I think somehow that sort of chip on his shoulder led him to be like, I'm not going to be able to take the normal path. When I follow academics, that's not going to be my way. Like he barely even made it through college. He said he was taking like karate as like his classes, and he was going once or twice a semester, and they were giving him an A. Like it was like he was barely making it. But it took him a little while to find his way. But then when he did, I think he felt like I can make my own way. Interesting. And that really propelled him to create a company. So there's that part of it. But then also the way that he used that autonomy, he coached every one of my sports. He coached, and I had 11 brothers and sisters, and he coached nearly all of their sports. And we played 3 sports a year, and he was a gentle, kind, generous coach. And he was able to do that because he owned the company. Right. And he was able to set his own schedule and say, I'm going to make it a priority to be at the baseball diamonds every night during the week, like because we've got practice or games every night. That type of prioritization, it's harder to come by when you work for someone else. There's so much pressure about it, where he was like, I'm going to just create my own life. And so that autonomy also, I feel really privileged to have witnessed that autonomy, benefited from it as well. Yeah. And just been like, I don't know how to say it. I felt entitled to be able to be my own boss from a very young age. And maybe it's because I'm an oldest child. I don't know what it is, but I think I feel really grateful for.
Your dad was an incredible coach. I mean, he's definitely probably the best experience I've had. No offense to my dad, who's probably listening. Love you, right? Just different background, different skill sets, different personalities. But man, talk about someone that could push. He could push you in his own way, make you feel like $1 million, but also correct, right? Course correct, push things, change things. He was pretty innovative too on his play calling. I always enjoyed watching his brain on the board. Yes. I still remember him. He loved working out ideas. Like he kind of took that creative mindset, entrepreneurial mindset into like the play board, like in middle school. And he only coached me in middle school, not in high school, but that was so fun. Like,
I mean, there's not a football season that we didn't come up with a double reverse pass.
Yeah, because he coached you all the way through high school.
And these plays that he would draw up were never going to work. Just like the chances of these working were, and it wasn't the point. It wasn't the point. He was like, it's just fun. And I remember him coaching with other people and then being like, this is like an incredibly risky, dangerous play that will not lead to good results. And he's like, but it's fun.
Dude, and his face when it didn't work out was better than when it did work out. I remember that. I remember some of the crazy plays he draw up, even watching you guys play football.
Yes.
And when it wouldn't work out, you just get that big grin, just like,
he's like, hey, we tried something. We tried something. We tried something. It's like, he just was not content to, if we were a better team, to just like run it down the middle the whole game and go score. He's like, that's just boring. There's a special way to play. And it's why he was doing behind the back passes and why all of us were doing behind the back passes, because it wasn't enough just to play the game. There's like a style and there's an element of grace and beauty that he brought to it, is like the way you do it is also important. And I think that's the chip on his shoulder, is like, we're not going to just do it the way. It's like, I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah. Well, your parents are both very articulate in their own way and like to do it their own way.
Yeah.
And that's manifested in you. That's helped me a lot is that you put so much thought into every stroke of a pen. That's probably the best way I can say it, right? Like every letter, every word you put into anything. There's a lot of thought that goes into that. And that's honestly kind of the perfect blend of your parents' skill sets. And I've always thought that's a kind of one of your big, unique value propositions of yourself is that you're creative on that side and you're always deducting and thinking outside of the box, but then you're also nurturing that with execution, thoughtfulness, and I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it right. And I'm going to do it well. I'm going to take pride in how I do it. I'm going to think about how this is going to affect other people. It's not worth doing if this outcome isn't here for others as well. And which I think kind of is a great segue into nonprofits to get us back on the railroad. You finished college.
Yeah.
And
so during college, even while I was in college, you said finish college, but we're going to keep going back.
You go.
College. Yeah. I had started a company with my dad called Packademics. Do you remember?
Oh my God!
Yeah, I did this for like 2 or 3 years, where we were. It was still. I mean, what was this? Like
that was the
early
first,
2010s. So like 2010 to 11, somewhere in there. And someone had created the company, and we joined as partners because they needed, honestly, people to just work and sell and get stuff done. But essentially, we were packaging school supplies in boxes. So you get your list from the student at the beginning of the year, from the teacher. We would package it. You'd send it in, we'd package it, and then parents could just buy it directly from us, and we'd ship them a perfect package of exactly the supplies they wanted.
Back to school supplies.
Back to school supplies, yeah. It was a great idea. It'd be fundraisers for the school or the PTA, kind of convenient for parents. And, there were some opportunities. So we'd partner with schools and do that. So I tried to go sell that to a bunch of schools all over the country. We hit a seam in the suburbs of St. Louis. Huh. And I think we had like 15 clients there. So I was in St. Louis with a trailer by myself, delivering boxes and boxes of school supplies to schools. It didn't work. It didn't work great. I didn't have any confidence. I didn't know how to sell. It was also like, talk about a low margin product. We competed with like Walmart and Amazon. So that was never going to be a great probably business. Maybe someone made one of it. Maybe it was just me. But great experience of responsibility at a really young age. Yeah. Of being responsible for thousands of kids' school supplies, a manufacturing process, delivering them. So I was doing sales, packaging, processing. I was making runs to Walmart to buy stuff that we didn't order enough, fulfilling, and even delivering and meeting the customer face to face. Like the entire experience of running a business. Yeah. And I did the whole thing. Like my dad and the other partner were sort of like, Ted's going to go run this. And that was wise wisdom on their part of like, we don't want to do what he's about to have to do. It's grit and it's hard. And that was really, so I learned a lot from that. And I did that while I was going to school. So like I had friends and people asked me like, what fraternity we were part of? I was like, man, I didn't even know about fraternities. I wasn't going to parties or anything. I was like, I'm already ready to be my own boss. Right. And I'm going to start working on it right now. Like that was how I felt at like 19 or 20. So definitely was trying to grow up very quickly. You're talking about the nonprofit stuff. That's also influenced tremendously by my parents. I think it starts with, so I have 5 little brothers and sisters and then 6 additional brothers and sisters who were adopted. So there were 6 biological, 6 adopted. And I'm the oldest. So when I was a freshman in high school, we adopted Eli. And then when we were a sophomore, we adopted Emmy. And then Macy and Silas came when I was a senior. And then Millie Matthias came when I was 20. So a little bit of change, a little bit of disruption. I think one thing about my entrepreneurial spirit, I think, is that I have a high tolerance for chaos. And I think you come from that too. I think the McVeigh's house was pretty chaotic in a lovely way, Sam and Amy. I think it was all love. And my house was tremendously chaotic. And to the point where Ellie's like, Ellie's my wife, when I walk through the house, she's like, you are so loud. And I was like, no one ever heard me when I was at the house. And she's like, everything you do is loud. I just am not delicate. And just because there's just people all the time, there's noise all the time, and you just sort of learn to drown things out and focus on what matters. And so I think one of the most formative moments of my life was that when I was a senior in high school, when my parents went to Ethiopia to adopt Macy and Silas, I went with them. And I think that I got to meet Macy and Silas's mom as she was giving her kids away, and like just watching her go through this experience. And at the time I was 18, thinking she's an adult, like she's a woman. And now as I'm looking back, I was like, she was probably only a few years older than me, like maybe like 25, 26. Macy was 5, Silas was 3. And just to witness that transition really spoke to me in a profound way. And there's like grief that comes with it. That was such a painful thing to witness. Obviously, grief for my brother and sister, who also, I think, got a tremendous opportunity to be a part of our family. And I think they're very grateful for it. I think, honestly, everyone's grateful for it because their mom was not in a position to be able to care for them. That's why they'd been in an orphanage for years. I just feel really privileged to have witnessed such a profound thing of Macy and Silas, their mom, as it was time for us to leave, like she came to the hotel to spend like the last 30 minutes with her, which is just a brutal thing. She took Macy's hand and put it in my mom's hand, and she took Silas's hand and put it in my dad's hand, and then she walked away. And I watched that, and obviously I wept. But I think there's this thing where, because obviously there's a language barrier. What are we going to say? Like, what is there to say? There's nothing you can say in that moment, but also, like, that does say so much of these are your responsibility now. And I took that quite seriously. And so when I say, like, I have 11 brothers and sisters, I have 11 brothers and sisters. Like, my life, like, there is no, I think there was a day where I didn't know Macy and Silas. Yeah. And they were in an orphanage as strangers. And then I met them. And from that moment forward, I'd give anything in my life for them. Mm. And that is a truly like miraculous thing, to be on one side and the other and see that and witness that. So few people get the chance to choose to love someone like that for the rest of your lives. And I think, you come back from that changed. And so I think is really formative in how, because I've experienced those moments and the power of those moments, and because I have experienced the power of like the miraculous way resources can be unlocked by just choosing to love someone. I mean, it's seismic for those geologists out there. I know I have a lot of geology fans. So I think I had this sort of drumbeat of, I have so much. Just, I'm so privileged. I went to private schools. I grew up in El Dorado, Kansas. Like, it's not like we were gargantuanly wealthy, but we had a pool, and our friends wanted to play at our house. And our basketball goal was legit. We had a great backyard. Like, we had a 2 double-decker fort. Like, we had things. Mm-hmm. Went to a private school, never in need of anything. And my dad was available. Like, so many people don't even have dads that are available to them. My dad was available. And so I had this sense of privilege and this sense of responsibility, which I'm still kind of working through, probably to a fault. I was taking on maybe too much responsibility for a 19 or 20-year-old. Like, I think I was trying to grow up too fast, and I did take on too much, and I took some lumps because of that. But I did feel this sense of purpose of that. And it wasn't ego or hubris of like, no, average people can do transformative things if they just let love wash over them. And I think that my parents are particularly average, and I can be very specific about how average they are. They are very normal and very flawed, and I'm very aware of their flaws. And it's a remarkable thing. It's a remarkable thing to say, you know what, we've had 6 kids. That was already a big family. Yeah, that was a big family. And now to go and do 6 more and say we have more room in our house is just, it's a remarkable thing. So I have siblings though that are just now finishing high school and college. I'm 36 years old. My parents they did a second round of parenting into their mid 60s, and there's lots of sacrifice with that. But it's a beautiful thing. So what do I do with this responsibility? And I think as Ellie and I were dating in college, we just felt a lot of tension of like, what does it mean to demonstrate this powerful thing we've experienced and benefited from, and how do we share it? And it took us a long time to figure out what it was. Maybe I felt like a long time. It took years, and I think to the other thing I was saying, whatever it was going to be something that I felt a lot of conviction about. It had to be something I felt in my bones, because this is not something, you don't adopt a child half-heartedly. There's no backsies.
Yeah.
Like it's a lifetime commitment. And I think I was saying, I feel like I must do something, but what is the thing? And it took a little time to find that, and a lot of searching.
Yeah. I think it's really powerful. The combination of what you had growing up, the example, what you do with resource. Your parents modeled what they did with their resources well, right?
Yeah.
In that context. That's super powerful. You can't adopt kids from Ethiopia without resources.
Yes.
That takes a fair amount of resources just to bring in another kid, just to adopt a kid here, let alone, out of another country. So seeing that model of, hey, here's you talk about how great everything was and it could feel like a silver spoon, but essentially the combination of that entrepreneurship, availability, and then you add in conviction, that perfect little combination for you of how you view entrepreneurship, because you don't have a chip on your shoulder. You're not trying to prove anything to anyone. You're trying to help and care, and that's kind of evident, but it's I never really thought about that before. That's a really cool piece of your DNA. Because your view of entrepreneurship and my view of entrepreneurship and how we have done it is so different.
Yeah.
It's been so different. And I've never really thought about that perspective. And I think that leads a lot into, what you're about to say next. Sorry to interrupt you.
No. Yeah, I see the chip on your shoulder, and I admire the chip on your shoulder. And I think it's well earned. Like it's well earned.
Take it off.
And I also know it also is a thorn in your side too. Like it's
100%.
Living like you have something to prove is not a way to live. You know, like that's it. You have to, and I have lots of things I'm trying to prove to all sorts of people.
You're
like
3 on the Enneagram.
Yeah. I got a lot to prove, but I don't feel. I guess I feel this sort of responsibility to do something with what I've been given.
Yeah.
And it's more just like that parable of the talents of like, they were not given the same thing, like the 3 people in the story. And I was like, and I think I'm given like either medium or most. And so what do I do with that? And I think I felt accountable to like, I was given a lot and a lot's expected of me. And that's not like a chip on my shoulder of like, I deserved more or less or anything like that. It's just like kind of an observation of like, what do I do with this? And I think, if you look at the world economically, like Americans are in the top 5% of like an average American's in the top 5% of wealthiest people in the world.
Yeah.
And we all should have a little bit of that of like, we have been given a lot by just being privileged by living in this economy. And so what do we do with that? And I'm even higher. I've been able to work for myself for years and make good money and do money of the things that my parents have had. And so that's even more responsibility and just not, I don't take it for granted. And I also don't have a sense of like, I was owed this or because I worked hard, I deserved it. Because there's been lots of times when I worked hard and got nothing.
Yeah.
And that happens. And I think that's, I'm still trying to sort that. I do think you're right though. I haven't actually thought about that until you said it. I was like, I do think we come from slightly different perspectives. Because I don't think
100%.
When I think of your family, I know for sure, I think I can say this, you didn't have the same resources that we had. No. You didn't have the same opportunities that I had. And as your friend, I was like, that kind of sucks. Like, it makes me mad. Like, I wish that you had more.
You shared a lot. It was great. It worked out great. I just, was like you said, I was in your pool in your yard all the time.
Yeah.
That's community, right? We had great, and that's the part that's rich too. It's like that combination of you're everybody, regardless of your, like, if you have good parents and you have parents that are doing their best, you're rich.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. So I was incredibly wealthy in that sense. But to nail down that point of those differences, I appreciate, and I encourage everybody listening, and I know a lot of you that do have a chip on your shoulder and you're grinding and you're pushing into something because of what wasn't in your past, right? And there is good in that. There is 100% good in that, being like a generational difference. And but I think we all need someone in our life. Like, I have a Teddy who is doing it in a more giving way, more thoughtful way, more bigger picture of like, what is this going to do for the world? I'm not going to jump on any bandwagon or I'm not going to jump into something just to make money. I'm going to jump into something to make enough money and a difference. Has kind of always been your thought process. I've never heard you once say, there's like a lot of people have that number or whatever, and you're just kind of like, I'm good. If I make this and I build this, and then if this happens, and it very well could, that's great. But the purpose behind it is bigger than the money for you. And that has helped me tremendously. And that is a balance I need. And then I think the other side of it is, I think sometimes I bring in something to you that's a little more selfish and capitalistic, and to you to say, go get that nut.
Yeah.
Like, you can, it's okay. Like, go after this and you can build this, and don't worry about what they think. Right.
No,
so
there's
that
definitely
combination's really helped me a ton, and shouldn't speak for you, but
there's definitely been times where I've sat on the bench or passed the ball when I should have shot it. Like, there's times where I've like played down and not like really went for it. And it was actually, I appreciate you framing as altruistic. It was more insecurity and fear of failure, where I'm like, I don't want to take that shot. I don't want to take that shot. You've taken so many more shots than I have. And while I'm tolerable of risk, I think I'm on the spectrum of entrepreneurs. I'm definitely on the lower side of and it's not. I still feel shame when I fail, and I'm very risk averse in that way. Even though I'm an entrepreneur and I take risks all the time, and I don't know where my money's going to come from in the next 6 months. Like I don't know. I can live with that ambiguity, but there's still, when I look at you, like, you're a pure entrepreneur in that, man, you just hit the deck every time and just go for it. You lay out for stuff that I'm like, man, I don't have that. I don't have the guts for that. And you've taken more lumps than me too. And I don't know which way works better, but I think maybe it's also, it's less important.
It's
money's a scoreboard, right? We're competing, right? Is that what it is?
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, the older I get and the tireder I get, there's somewhere in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
It's like all of my heroes, I want a piece of that, right? You know, I just think that's life. It's a balancing act, and you can go all in, unapologetic, conquer something, and still build the most important thing in the world, which is community and purpose. There's nothing else beyond that. My goodness. When that identity is around your business and it being successful, like when the thing you build becoming successful is your identity and purpose, that's a low time. Yeah. And that's 2 years of therapy done right.
There we go. Thank you.
Right there.
Thank you. Send me the book.
Yeah.
That's great.
But anyway, we'll stay on target here.
Purpose. I think that experience with Macy and Silas and meeting them, I think there was more to it. That's just one experience. But Ellie and I felt this need to do something. I went to Ghana when I was 21, I think, to visit the Father's house. And there was these 8 boys who were brought out of child labor. They'd been working in the fishing industry. Brought to this beach, this beautiful house called the Father's house. And I spent about a month with them. Friends of ours from church had started it and invited us to be a part of it. It was just really stunning. And I think what that experience created for me was I've always been a religious person. I've had a spiritual background, but so often, particularly if there's no suffering in your life, which I had very little of, I had a little suffering. I got some notes on the childhood, but mostly in aggregate, I didn't know suffering. Particularly when I go to the Father's house in Ghana, I was like, oh, I didn't know suffering. Let me think through how I want to say this. These boys were in bondage and captivity in a way that they were not able to have childhoods, and they were being used to do manual labor as 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. And then someone intervened and said, this will not stand. And they rallied resources and money and time and effort and energy and communities to all agree, we won't allow this. And they intervened for these 8 boys, and they were brought out of that environment into this new one called the Father's house. And there was lots of language about captivity to freedom, which is one of the central metaphors of the Christian faith. And as an American living in the early aughts up until now, I know nothing of captivity and bondage. I know nothing of it. But then I went over an ocean to see these people, and I witnessed it firsthand. And I was like, these people that rallied all of the support were motivated by this idea, this spiritual idea that God is good and he will not stand for these things. And that is a powerful thing. It's the same instinct that led my parents to Ethiopia to adopt those kids. And it's what led me and Ellie to say, there's more for us to do here. And so a few years after I visited the Father's house, Ellie and I started 8 Oaks, which was a house for 8 girls who were living in the same conditions as the boys. And we created the Yellow House, which they could grow up in. And we brought them out of that environment with the help of lots of people, lots of funders. The founders of the Father's house, Matt Garrett and Jeff Miller, gave us so much help and assistance as we were getting it off the ground. And then our leaders in Ghana, Bernard Atachi, who's just a saint above saints, who came out of retirement to lead this organization, and all the social welfare officers and social workers who helped navigate this. There was lots of people involved, but we essentially intervened. That's the simplest way I can say it. And now these girls were brought out of that environment and into the Yellow House. I think a really cool thing about that story is they were between 5 and 10. That was 2013. It's 2026. Sarah Sr. just enrolled in college. She wants to be an entrepreneur. And
That's crazy.
In one generation, less than 20 years, these girls will go from the absolute bottom of an economy, of a global economy, living in truly extreme poverty, less than $2 a day, subsistence living, to among the best educated women in their country. The economic mobility that's made possible by this intervention in just this short time is staggering. And the ramifications of it for generations to come are, it's overwhelming to think of. And maybe even just more specifically, these girls lived in the same home, the Yellow House, for 13 years. And it remains their safe haven that they can come back to anytime. In that way, in just that specific way, they got a better experience than most foster care kids get in America, where they're going from home to home to home to home. These girls had one place. They had no stability, no security for most of their most vulnerable parts of their childhood. And then they've had security and stability since then. And I think the ability of us, and even if I can just be really humble about this, for a very small amount of money over the course of 13 years, for us to have been able to make that intervention, I'm almost embarrassed because there should have been so much more. We have so much more here. There's so much more we could do. It was just these 8. In so that other way, though, I think if we get really focused on their lives specifically, they've been transformed in this really profound and beautiful way. And so that, when I talk about feeling things in my bones, the only reason that worked, Ellie and I were 22 We had no business doing that. No business. No authority, no credibility, no experience, background, training. The only way that we were able to do it was conviction. And people saw that in our eyes. They just saw the fire in our belly, and they were like, they're probably going to do something. Like, and they were willing to give and support. And it was bumpy. I'll tell you, some training would have been nice. Like I wish we should have read a book or something.
Yeah.
We had to bumble our way through it, but that's what everyone does. That's what everyone does if you're doing something new. It's always going to be flailing forward, and that's what we did. And it was painful and hard and difficult and profound and beautiful. And so I think that when I was 22, I wasn't thinking about what I'd be saying when I was 36. I was only thinking about a year or two ahead. But now to have had that be the through line of my entire life, and it's not a career. It's like these are my family members. Yeah. It does get into everything. And I think you see that in my entrepreneurial journey of like, there's something weighted below it of like, one of the big reasons I wanted to be an entrepreneur is because I wanted to be able to go to Ghana whenever I wanted, for whenever I wanted. And I was like, a real job with a salary. And let me add to that. I want to be able to go to Ghana whenever I want, whenever I need to, and it not be my vacation. Because when I go, I work. Yeah. It is work. I was like, and I know I also need vacation. Like I can't just go where I have 2 weeks paid vacation a year. Right. That's not enough. I need 4 or 6 or 8. And when I went and asked for that in the marketplace, they were like, that's ridiculous. And I was like, well, this is where I get my dad. I was like, then I'll make my own way. I'll make my own way. Like, that's not ridiculous. My dad coached every one of my games for all of these kids. Like, yeah, that's stupid. And sometimes that's stupid. I'm not doing that. And that opens a lot of doors when you're willing to reject some things like that.
Yeah. It's good.
That's long.
So much in between there to unpack. That's my brain hurts thinking you were 22. I didn't realize that you were that young.
Yeah.
That's 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I see kids that are 22 now and I'm just like,
yeah.
Were there no adults in the room to talk me out of this?
Talk me off this.
And then I think like more critically, and I was like, there were adults in the room, and they did try to talk me out of it. And there was no that you can't. The conviction. It had already taken root. It was too late. And I think some of the best adults in my life, I can remember this. My granddad was one of them. He was like terrified for me. And tried to talk me out of it. I was like, this is a massive responsibility. This is not good for your career. And that was true. Like he was true and wise. And when it happened, he became a big donor. Like there's this thing of like, I don't want you to make this choice. But then once they do, to get in the boat with them, there's just something so profound about that. And that's the way Jeff and Matt were when supporting us. They were always pro us doing it because I was trying to get them to do it. And they were like, no, we're good, thanks. And the responsibility, like the generosity they have in just saying, we'll share everything we know with you, and the trust they extended. So without help, it wouldn't have happened. But I think critically about that sometimes, because if someone at 22 came to me and was like, I want to do what you did, what would I tell them?
What would you tell them?
I definitely would want to, it depended on what they would ask. If they asked whether I should or shouldn't do it, I'd say you are the only person that can make that choice. And they have to make it for themselves, and they have to own it deep, because there are going to be major consequences. Ellie and I'd say I didn't suffer in my childhood. We have suffered in adulthood. It is painful to love people. It's so painful because they will let you down. They will disappoint you. Not the girls. The girls have been delightful in every single way. But it takes a team to do these things. And so we have experienced a tremendous amount of, by taking on these responsibilities, it has brought us pain and hardship. That is a delight in the end. Yeah. When you get out of it, it's all of this is goodness. If they ask me if I should do it, there has been times where I would have said, don't do it. And I regret those times in my life where I felt that, because I think that was wrong. That was wrongheaded. I was too lost in my grief of having done this really hard thing and the pain it's caused. If they asked questions like, I think the same way that professor said, why don't you go work at a pneumatic tube company for 2 years? To test, I would ask questions like that of like, what are some ways that you can on-ramp to this, to sift through your conviction? Because you probably need time. And I think me going to Ghana for a month was part of that on-ramp. But it wasn't like I got back from that and immediately it was like start an organization. There was like a year or 2 years of like an on-ramp to where sort of letting it build momentum, and I had a steam behind it. And so I think I hope I would not try to talk them out of it. I hope I would not try to talk them out of it. But I also, I hope that it scares me to think of them trying it without conviction. So much harm is done. I think, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And you think of all of these good intended efforts that fail. And you think of just think about all the dogs that are in animal shelters. That's sad. Like, I know we're talking about people and that's like a lesser thing, but like, that makes me sad. That's like so many good intentions. There isn't the conviction behind it. Yeah. And I think I hope I could bring some sobriety to that decision maybe as they were thinking through it. I hope I would not talk them out of it. And more than anything, once they made the choice, I hope I'm the type of person that gets in the boat with them. Because that, I think more than anything, is what I needed, was people rowing with me. And like the last thing I needed when it got hard was like, we told you so. No shit. It was hard. Thanks. Yeah, right. It is hard.
Well, just the consequence of not seeing it through. If you halfway get the house ready and you bring 8 girls in and then the money runs out and you stop facilitating and you're not managing the help and then they relocate again because the project fails. It's not like
you're doing more
starting a company stateside and it shuts down and you're,
the stakes are so high.
Yeah.
The stakes are so high.
I mean, there's hurt in anything you build, but at that level, you're talking about, and I'm sure that was your grandpa's concern.
He was like, you're
right.
You should not be responsible
raising
for this.
8 girls, right? Like at its core, there was locals raising them, but I mean, at the end of the day, you and Ellie put so much on the back burner, your career, your entrepreneurial activities, having kids, that was and that is painful to say the least when you have 8 children that live in another country that feel like your children. Yes. They're family, but they feel like your children. And I remember those dark moments of, what is this? I need to start doing my life now. Yeah. That transition of you figuring out how to do your life after giving your life for so long. Yeah. To that.
It was hard because when we came back, when we launched the Yellow House, we were there for 4 months. One of the painful parts was that we thought we were just going to live in Ghana, almost as like missionaries. And I think a lot of wisdom, Jeff and Matt being one of us, like, actually, that's not the thing that you're supposed to do. You're supposed to come back to the States and raise money, which I was like, that is not what I wanted to do. That is not why I signed up for this. Like, I wanted to care for these girls. And they were like, that's how you do it. Mm-hmm. If you don't do that, where will the money come from? And so we had to ask friends of ours who did a wonderful job, Landon and Kate Lofton. They put their careers on hold and all the different things, like a huge sacrifice on their part. They spent 2 years or a year and a half helping establish the Yellow House before we were able to transition to just fully Ghanaian leadership. That sucked. I wanted to be there with the girls. I didn't want to come back and like glad hand with donors and try and raise money. And I hated raising money, which that's a thing. I started a nonprofit and then realized, I don't like asking people for money when that's like my only job for the rest of the existence. Yeah. That will be my job. It's like, well, you will learn to do things that are necessary when you take on this responsibility. I think I learned to do it. I didn't even do it particularly well, but I learned to do enough to provide for them all of this way.
Yeah. For the sake of your time, I'm going to take us from that. Quick plug, go check out 8oaks.org.
Yeah. The number 8, Oaks, number8folks.org.
Number
Okay, if we're plugging, let me say one thing.
Yeah, go. Because I was going to plug the newsletter, the annual letter. The annual letter's the
Ellie writes
Haley and I every year. It comes in and we both are like, who gets to read it first?
That's so generous.
always great.
Ellie does a tremendous job, and that's really it. That's the extent of our marketing operations is that letter that Ellie writes every year. But I'm glad that you like it. We've taken a scarcity approach to this. I don't know if that's a good marketing strategy. Maybe you could tell me. One of the things we've been able to sustain this whole time, which has been great. As I said, Sarah Senior's starting school. This is the first time we've had to actually raise money in a really focused, intentional way because we want to send all 8 to college. And so last summer, knowing this was coming, and it was going to take some time, like Sarah's starting, but it's going to take some time for the rest of the 7 to get into it and different things. We're like, we need to raise $150,000. And there was our budget's like $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year, just shoestring. Like it's not a full operation. Like Ellie and I just volunteer. Like this is not a legit nonprofit, but we've only raised. So that's what I'm saying. We've only raised like $30,000 at a time a year, and this is not us. This is the letter. That letter's worth $30,000 a year. People keep giving, but this is a time where we're like, we need people to invest, and so Ellie and I have really tried to lean into it is a joy to ask people for money. It's a joy to invite people into this. We have a chance, that same story I just described of them coming from the bottom of their economy to becoming college-educated women in one generation. We have the chance to make that possible. You're invited to be a part of that with us. We need $150,000 and asking with authority and confidence and conviction of it would be a privilege. It's a privilege for me to be a part of it. And you guys would be privileged to be a part of the story because who knows what's going to happen and the ramifications of this. It's just going to be such a good story. And I had none of that ability for the last 10 years to just go and ask for money. And now I feel like I've warmed up to that. So that feels really encouraging.
That was good.
There's
you
my
did good
plug.
there.
Yeah, there we go.
That was great. There's
money.
a lot of authority. Love it. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I think we should go from that straight to Honeystack.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna fill in the gap.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Sure.
And
Depending on how you
if
feel.
you get mad.
If I don't like it, I'll fix it.
You don't like it. You had different jobs. You got into a economic development group. You started getting into data analytics. That evolved into you starting LionGraph. So you went freelance. You were doing it for Network Kansas, correct? So Network Kansas, you were employed there, which is an amazing program, by the way. We've benefited in El Dorado with the loan program.
Yeah, the local loan programs.
Yeah. Our chambers loaned out a crazy amount of money for local businesses and expansion. It's been awesome. You got really obsessed with data.
Yeah.
And processing data, making data tell stories.
Yeah.
You've always been a great storyteller. Then you attach data to it. Doing that internally for them, and then you were like, this was kind of your essentially your first move after 8 Oaks, in my opinion, kind of the first big move that set a different trajectory for you. You wanted to go out on your own, doing data analytics for other people and making data beautiful. Got really good at what was it, Knack or
Knack was building no-code apps.
No code, yeah. You built one. You built the point of sale for our appliance store. It was wild. You got real good at Knack.
Yeah. And this was before AI and no-code. I was doing no-code tools 10 years ago.
And then you named it LionGraph, which is a great name. I still remember your 1 million cups presentation.
Yeah.
And did that for a while, had some staff go to do a merger with Moonbase Labs, a software development company. So you brought in the data analytics side, customer experience side, processing information for them into a software development group. And I'm going to let you take it from there. So now you're a partner at Moonbase, or I can keep going and I can get us all the way to you're not there.
Yeah, no, I'll take it. Thank you. I'd like to talk now. So I did LionGraph. I love that company name. And
it was a great name.
It was so cool. I loved it. But merged with Moonbase. The thing I was feeling with the data analytics is that I needed to go upstream. They'd want me to analyze data, and it was garbage. And it's because their systems and processes and software tools upstream. And I couldn't use APIs because I wasn't a developer then. And so I couldn't do some things. So I was really stoked to merge with Moonbase because it just unlocked so many doors technologically. We did that together for like 3.5 or 4 years. And most of my role was like product owner or business development. And in that journey, the people that kept coming to me were nonprofit people. Not only nonprofit people, we had lots of for-profit companies. We built a lot of cool software.
Do you think that's because of 8 Oaks and networking?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
Because I barely talk about 8 Oaks.
Yeah, that's true.
I almost didn't talk about it for 10 years because I was afraid that I was supposed to ask for money and I didn't want to.
Is this that moment?
Yeah.
I can tell they're really interested in this.
And I was also afraid that people thought I was going to ask them for money. So I went out of my way to make it clear, like, I'm not going to ask you for money. We only send 1 letter a year and I'm not even sending it to you. Like I was just like, and I really thought I had none of this sort of authority to be like, no, you're giving people an invitation. That's all new. Like I didn't have that for most of this. Maybe I teach that person, that young kid trying to start up to be like, learn how to raise money.
There you go.
I could maybe tell them to do that because that's really, really important. Moonbase was great. I think the thing that I found was nonprofits kept coming to me. And I think maybe not quite half of our business, probably half of our customers. We had larger businesses working with us that were for-profits, but maybe half of our customers by count were nonprofits. And I don't think it's because of 8 Oaks.
Yeah.
And so I had to really do some reflection of like, why are these people coming to me? And some of it, Never Kansas was a nonprofit, so it could have been maybe from that. A friend of mine, Ed O'Malley, said, like I asked him about that, like, why is this nonprofit? And he said, I think he described it as like, you are just a do-gooder. He said, you just need to own it. He said, people can smell it on you. Maybe he didn't say that. I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth. He said, you just need to own it and lean into it and admit it to yourself that you care about the world and you want to make it better. And that was after leaving Moonbase. I think I had to kind of figure out what do I want to do? And that conversation with Ed was really profound for me, of him saying like, whatever you do you. Like that was kind of what he was saying. He's like, be true to like whatever is going on inside of you. And he's like, there's a reason these nonprofits keep coming to you. It's because you're one of them. And I was like, I think I am one of them. And in fact, I think this whole last 10 years of being in technology is not, it's definitely not a detour by any means, but it's also, it was laying the foundation for, I think, something to be more accurate about me. Technology is not the most true thing about me. And I think when I tell stories about dashboards and I tell stories about me meeting Macy and Silas's mom in Ethiopia, I think it's pretty clear who I am. Like, I don't think technology is the truest thing about me. It just happens to be something I'm very skilled at and I enjoy learning and using. But what I really care about is taking this tremendous responsibility that we've been given. And I'm not the only one. All of us have been given these responsibilities. How do we make the most of it with this brief time here on Earth? I'd so much rather do profound work that moves the needle than accrue a lot of wealth and hopefully get to the point where I have enough that I can start to give. I know for certain most people are oriented this way. I think we get distracted, and I don't think the world moves us this way very naturally. I think it is countercultural, but I think all of us, I have so many friends working at big companies like Coke that are saying like, I wish I could do what you're doing. Yeah. And I wish my work had more purpose and more meaning. And I am just like grinding it out day after day. And I sympathize. I don't know if I can empathize though, because I can't imagine that of like, I don't know how to grind it out. I rejected that like almost immediately. I'm the same way as my dad of like, no, that's not for me. Like I have to do it this specific way. And it's not because it's better. It's not, I don't think it's like morally superior. It's the same thing as like a behind the back pass in basketball is a pass. Does it get to the person or not?
Sure.
But when someone does it in a specific way, it's a pass that's true to them. And the way my dad would do those double reverse plays, those aren't necessarily good plays. If you ask me if I'm a good entrepreneur, I would say absolutely not. I am not a good entrepreneur, but I am one of them. And I'm the version of an entrepreneur that I can be. And so what I find is that if I lean into it and just admit, I care about the world, I want to make it better. I now have just developed 10 years of all of these really valuable skills. How can I use them? It starts to narrow the aperture of what I should be doing. Like it becomes quite clear.
Right. Yeah.
Here's exactly what you should do. But it wasn't clear. I backed into it.
Yeah. Still had to be defined.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're getting to on the Honeystack conversation. So take me from after Moonbase, you exit Moonbase.
Yep.
Sell out.
I don't like to describe it
company.
as selling out.
Selling out. You sold your stock.
I did. I'm a sellout.
Went a different direction. And yeah, here's the other part, which I'm hoping you're going to do some hard ass once we get into this section of it. But break down to me that exploration of, okay, done at Moonbase, now I'm exploring nonprofits, because you have multiple iterations of it at the beginning, just from the outside in, of you consulting and doing seminars and a great newsletter that you send out that seems like it's got some great traction that I even enjoy, and I don't have a nonprofit.
Yeah. That's generous.
Yeah.
You're generous.
Yeah. Not every one of them. So, but I mean, like any newsletter, if it hits every other time, this is a good newsletter.
Yeah.
So give us all the iterations of now Teddy's on his own, tedkriwiel.com.
I think
Honeystack.
I think when I left Moonbase, one thing that I felt was a sense of freedom to really just create and explore and consider who am I and what can I do? And I had time to think, because they were buying me out. I had a little bit of time to be like, all right, what do I that runway to think is so precious. And I didn't rest.
And you'll never get it back.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's
it did feel
a special time.
It did feel like such a moment of I've got to make the most of it. So the irony, it's not like I did a vacation or went on vacation or anything. I worked harder.
Right, E-Myth.
Yeah. I worked really hard. I might have needed to rest more in hindsight. What I felt was this sense of I have something to say, and I want to try and work on saying it and starting to articulate it. So I just started writing pages and pages and pages. I created a seminar where I was like, let me go try and see if this is hitting a nerve. And you were generous enough to come to that. And I did just a 20-minute talk on what I wish nonprofits knew about software. I've seen the inner workings of so many nonprofits, and they keep making these same mistakes over and over and over again. And I wish they knew this, coming from a person who's just been so seeped in software for the last decade and have tried every project management tool and every communication tool under the sun, every documentation tool. I've tried them all. I've used them all. I've switched from one to the other. Zooming out from that, here's what I wish nonprofits knew. Here's what the mistakes I wish they would avoid. And it resonated with people. And I was like, okay, that's a good sign. So from that, I was like, I've got pages. I think I could write weekly. And so I tried to build a practice of discipline of writing every single week. And I did most weeks. And I built this audience of nonprofit leaders and just saying, I know that you need software to do your work. You need it. There's no choice about it. So you have to figure this out. And I was just trying to be.
And it's a huge pain point.
It's a huge pain point.
In every nonprofit.
In every nonprofit. Yeah. They feel like it's too expensive. It's difficult. It's not intuitive. It doesn't quite fit the way they want. There's just so much of it. Just the noise. There's so much of it. And they're releasing new features all the time. There's a sense of software is happening to us and we're not in charge of it or in control of it. And I wanted to really give this sense of autonomy of you can own your tech stack and you can release features on your terms and say, we're only going to use it in this way and that way. But you have to have some confidence and authority. And I was trying to lend my confidence to them. And I'd started teaching in the newsletter, and then I did a couple of cohorts where I brought nonprofits together and we worked together through some of their problems of just how to define their process and diagram it and get really clear about how data moves through their systems and what a dashboard looks like and how to mock one up and some tools they might be able to use and how to even buy software. If the software says call for pricing, never call. Never. Software is a commodity.
Hold on. I'm looking at Honeystack.agency. It says call for price.
Actually, though, we debated on that.
Yeah.
We actually post our pricing.
Yeah. I don't even have
we posted it, and it was for that very reason, is because nonprofits, I wanted to be transparent because it makes me so mad when these companies have call for pricing as if software is like fine wine from the foothills of Italy that they have to get out of the back of no. It's $25 per user per month at most.
Right.
And there's 100 alternatives. There's no way that you can demand that type of credibility.
Yeah, it's just at the end of the day, it's a sales tactic, right? So you do the math on both sides, and what's the closing rate on the marketing dollars? I think that's the only reason it still exists. I think it's a certain amount of money to get them to the website, and if they can't close at a high enough rate without a good salesperson getting the close done, they just don't put it there. I think that's the only logic behind it still.
I'm sure it is. And those are also the same companies, though, that make you pay extra for API access or don't have an API at all. So
because they got you on the phone. Once they get the face-to-face and
then they have you sign a 3-year contract and they actually sue you if you want to.
And they convince you have, by the time you're done with that first call with any software company that does call for pricing, I think they have you convinced there's nothing else out there, and they want some answer on that first call, which stresses me the hell out.
Yeah.
I hate that with anybody.
Yeah.
Getting an answer on the first call. Why would you wait on this? I just don't think that's how sales work anymore. To build a long-term relationship with someone, right? And that's how any software should work. It's relational.
Yeah.
Even if they don't talk to someone to sign up.
I think software companies that give the user the benefit of the doubt and says these are smart people, they can go figure it out. They'll go read the docs. They'll go look at YouTube. They'll figure this out. We'll give them the price up front so that they can make an educated decision. For me, when I think of nonprofits who are already strapped for cash, already feel like they're back against the wall all the time, and then you look at big tech, 7 out of the 10 top companies in the S&P 500, I think are tech companies. Yeah. They're so monopolistic. They have so much power. One of the only bargaining chips we have is transparent pricing. And when a tech company takes that away from people, I'm like, that's technology malpractice. It infuriates me. This is something I riff on with nonprofits because there's actually quite a few nonprofit software companies that I think are preying on naive nonprofit leaders who want to be taken care of, and then they don't get the benefits that they deserve. And one of the things I advocate for is holding software loosely. Software is patterns repeating over and over again. If you don't like your form builder, there's 100 alternatives. Just swap it out for another.
Right.
Get to the point where we rent software. We don't buy it. We're month to month with all of these people. There's no software company in the world that can guarantee they're still going to be the best solution in 3 years for you. No one can do that. So don't ever sign a 3-year contract. Treat everything, do trial everything, do month to month. And I think that when I talk about that, though, I think people are hearing something they're unfamiliar with. They're feeling a lot of work and anxiety and ambiguity that they're like, I really don't want to wade through it. And one of the things I'm trying to do is help build their courage to say, no, you can do this. I promise you can do this. It will be good for you. You'll get better and sharper in the way you think and communicate. And you can be the boss instead of let someone else do that. And so that's something I've been advocating for. That's just an example. But I think you had talked about what was that transition like? Well, it took about 6 months, I think. But one of the cool things was I found my voice of okay, these are my people. I feel myself when I'm writing this. I think in 4 years at Moonbase, I wrote 4 blog posts. And in my first year of TedKriwiel.com, I think I wrote 50.
Yeah.
It was 40 or 50, something in there. And then in my second year, it was another 40 or 50, to where it was almost every week, to where just that volume of content is, and it was also mostly pre-AI. I guess AI was happening, but I was handwriting everything. I still handwrite everything. And that's to your point of excellence. I care about every single word. I write with a lot of intention. It's not always good, but I tried really hard. That's where I just believe that's how people are going to connect. And when people reply to my emails, they feel like they're talking to me because they are. And I'm writing to them. And I have their faces in my mind as I'm writing. And I think that comes through. And that's why it's resonating with people. But I think the thing about Moonbase, I was there for 4 years. We did a lot of tremendous work together. It was a really talented team. And I think there's something about I think those NBA teams where everyone's really talented and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And no one really understands why. I think that was sort of my experience at Moonbase of like, how did that not work? We were all so talented, so gifted. And like, but there was just something that didn't click. And as soon as I got into a different environment, I became a completely different human and basketball player in that analogy of like, it goes from 4 blog posts to 50 in a year. It's just like, okay, there was something wrong in my environment. And this has been such a good transition. It's been hard and there's been difficulty, but now I feel like I found my lane. Once you found your thing, which I think most people spend their whole lives looking for and many don't find, I just feel, once again, privilege among privileges. Like, I can't believe that I had the time for this. I worked very hard. I don't want to make it sound like I just was gifted everything. I did work very hard, and I have had many gifts given to me. And so the way I've used them is work harder. The way Steph Curry works harder than anyone, even though his dad was an NBA basketball player. Like, he just stood on top of the gifts he was given and tried to do even more with it. And that's how I feel. I feel very grateful and thankful for it. Once you find your thing, what you should do becomes really clear. And I think that has been what I've been running into. And that's, so I've been doing TedKriwiel.com for 2 years, but really in the background, it's been saying, this needs to be a full-on company that supports nonprofits and helps them build a modern tech stack, particularly as everything is being tossed by AI. They need someone they can trust, someone that knows them, someone that cares about the same things they care about, that cares about their mission and their cause, and is technically excellent, knows their stuff, knows what they're talking about, and has helped a lot of nonprofits. That's a really hard Venn diagram to find. And so if you commit to that and you're willing to work with anyone in the world, and you just double down on it, there is a business model there. I think I've had to wrestle with, I'm not going to raise money. This is not going to be, I'm not going to do a seed round or a Series A or a Series B, and this certainly isn't going to IPO. This is going to be a lifestyle business. And I've reflected on that. I was like, yeah, that's great. I'm really content with that. My dad had a lifestyle business, and we had a great lifestyle, and my kids will too. And I'm grateful for this. A lifestyle business is fantastic. Like, that's the top 1% of the world. So I'm grateful for that. I think that sort of, that Silicon Valley.
And when you say lifestyle, do you mean like versus product? Like, or versus, I'm trying to think the right word. I'm struggling with it. Because when I think of, in my world, when I think of a lifestyle brand, that means you don't make anything and you just throw a lifestyle brand on that thing and then it gets sold. And because you're right, you're onto something. What you're doing is that in a sense, but in a kind of a different take.
Well, in software, or maybe in like Silicon Valley investing, a lifestyle business is a company that has a low ceiling and is really almost uninvestable. And it's a disparaging term to entrepreneurs. They mean it as a disparaging way of like, that's quaint.
Right.
That services business is quaint. And when you think about who's going through Y Combinator and who's going in Silicon Valley, they're saying, we're going to be like industry altering companies doing, if their ambition is less than $1 billion in revenue a year, they seem silly. And I think I got distracted by some of that shiny object of this thing of like, go and raise money and go get invested and those kind of things. Not that I ever even did it, but I think just that was the water I was swimming in of entrepreneurship and stuff. Like, that's how it's done. And I was like, I don't want any of that. I think I got to the point where, and even now as I say that, talk about a chip on my shoulder, I'm like, I hear a Silicon Valley person hearing me say, I don't want that. And they're like, that's cute. You never would have had it anyway. I hear that in my heart of like, you didn't have the talent. You didn't have the charisma, the charm. You couldn't have gone and raised that money. It's very quaint now that you're like, actually, I don't want to do that. You know, it's like breaking up with someone before they break up with you. I didn't go out to Silicon Valley and try and raise $1 million. I've never tried in my life. I don't know if I could. My fundraising background with a nonprofit would indicate that I can't. So I think, but I think for me, I was able to separate. I was like, I hear that voice in my head and I'm like, and it just sort of glides off. I was like, good for you. I'm good. Like I'm good with this. Like I found my thing. So few people find this why would I trade this for investors and pressure and growth when that's just not necessary?
And I'm trying to remember what the number is now, but how much money till you stop experiencing
Diminishing returns.
diminishing returns. It was like high 200s, and then I think it just went up, but it was still like 300.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like
There's been
millions a year.
Some have plugged it at like 70,000.
Oh,
that like
really?
the peak of stability is at 70,000. And you get like a little bit happier as you get more, but it's way diminishing returns. Now, below 70, more money makes you happier. Like it's just like like if you get, because that stability, there's such a joy in that sort of abundance where you can say like, we don't have to worry about our day-to-day bills, that stress and strain. I don't know how anyone starts a company with all of that ambiguity on top of not being able to pay bills day to day. Like it's brutal. That is such a hard thing to make the jump.
But you're right. This said 75,000, which has changed. So now it's 100 to 110. So now they're saying, most like the final point of happiness is 500,000 a year. That's
and then
interesting. I don't even know where Gemini's pulling all this data, but
it probably flatlines.
Oh yeah, it's got to.
Just where it's just like there is no more additional thing, and I think for me, I have the privilege of hitting those numbers, not the 500 number, but like the numbers where the 70,000 and even like the 125,000, like I hit those pretty early.
Yeah.
And I've just had this sense of like, from here, everything's gravy.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, now I'm winning the game by 20. Do the double reverse. And if you fumble it and they score, you're good.
Yeah.
You're still standing on some real solid ground. And I think I have not always felt this. I'm feeling particularly abundant today, but there's been days that I have not been feeling this. And I think Ellie has really helped ground me. I'll come home from work and I think she's like, they love you. Like my kids, I've got 3 kids, Lewis, Ford, and Rosie. They love me and they don't care about what I'm doing. They don't. They don't care.
So true.
And they care that I'm home with them.
Yeah.
They care that I'm present with them. And then if I'm anchored to that, getting investors and raising millions of dollars and chasing these growth metrics does not make me more present with my kids. In fact, it directly takes away from them. And I was like, I just don't need it. I don't need it. I've got what I need. And I think that there's so much striving that happens in entrepreneurship. And I'm just wondering if there's like desperation and like grit and all that. And we need all of those things. But I'm wondering if there's also like entrepreneurship from a place of abundance where it's like, I've got everything I need. Now let's try some stuff. Let's just be creative and almost more artisanal in the way we do it. And I think that part, and I've seen you do some of that stuff. I've seen you do lots of that stuff where I'm like, you're scratching a creative itch. Sure. This isn't like a super solid business idea. You're
the Killer Growth Podcast, is that what you're referring to?
This is for you. And we only live once. Who else are we doing this for?
Yeah.
Of course we should do it for ourselves. Like do it because it's fun, because it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really good. I love the Honeystack. So just launched last week, right?
Just launched last week.
Been building it for a while, doing it right. I mean,
I've been doing
it for like a decade in different forms, which I think is cool. Because I mean, you were doing this back in LionGraph days.
Yeah.
And different. But
I think this is the first time
working with nonprofits.
I've been consulting, but this is the first time I've put a real framework around what it is
of like what your process is.
We consult in this specific way. We design custom software for nonprofits in this specific way, which is rare. Very few people market directly to nonprofits saying, we'll build custom software for your use cases at a price point you can afford. And
you're not building custom software for anyone but nonprofits.
Yeah, it's just nonprofits. Cool. It's great. Yeah.
You came to my BNI group and a gentleman grilled you for that, which was hilarious. Why not everybody else? And you're like, you didn't even, you just said, that's my thing.
That's my thing.
I think that's all you said. That's my thing. But I love that focus.
But I think if I look at just consulting in the studio, where we're helping them build a modern tech stack or building something custom, which has only become accessible to them in the last few years because of the advancements in AI, even still, I think 90 to 95% of nonprofits have less than 100,000 in revenue a year. They're not going to pay for any of this. They can't afford it. They can barely afford to pay their staff. So when I think of the nonprofit world, and I'm talking about building a business model, genuinely, I'm really only marketing those services to the top 5% of nonprofits who can afford it, like who can hire another staff member who's very technical and can help guide and lead their team at a high level. And those nonprofits, the business case makes total sense at that size. But I'm not content to just do that. I want to share all of these learnings with all nonprofits because so many of these patterns are universal. Whether you've got 10 million in revenue, $1 million in revenue, or 100,000 in revenue, you still have to get super clear and define your process, get clear about who your audiences are, how you bring them through a system. And that's why the courses and the cohorts is what
that's
I've
your
been really
stack,
stoked about.
right? It's like the Honeystack.
Yeah.
The Honeystack is education, consulting, custom software.
Yeah.
Your software stack or what your tech stack.
Yes.
Essentially. Which does that fall under consulting or what is Studio the custom software?
Studio is custom software.
And then education is straightforward.
Because even if someone wants us to build custom software, it'll never be on an island. They will have an existing tech stack where they're like, we need our CRM and our project management to integrate with this one real bespoke use case. So it's all about building, just making that tech stack modern. And like when I complain about that pricing thing, where I'm like, you're in a 3-year contract and the company doesn't have an API, that's going to limit building a modern tech stack in 1,000 ways. You cannot build an integrated system. You cannot get any of the benefits that AI are offering you if that's the type of companies that you've signed up with. So I love AI. It's tremendous. I've got concerns, as we all should, but generally it's been profoundly powerful in my day-to-day work and in the consulting we're doing. And even still, if you don't have a modern tool set underneath it with like systems of record, like a project management or a CRM, even accounting software, if you don't have those, AI is only going to be like chatting in the clouds with you. It can't actually move information through your organization because it won't have access to it. So I still need to build a modern foundation so that they can get access and benefit from AI. So yeah, it's helping them just build that modern tech stack, whether I'm teaching them, building something bespoke, or helping them assemble and buy their tools.
Yep. Help nonprofits use software well.
There you go.
It's a good line. I found it on this website called Honeystack.agency. It's a great line.
I've heard about that.
Well done.
Even with building this website, there's so many things where I did it just because it's fun. And I say I did it, but Lucy helped a tremendous amount with the copy, and Ricky was the designer we used. We asked Ricky to hand draw illustrations throughout the website of this sort of idea. It's based on a mutualistic relationship between the honey guide and the honey badger. It's one of there's some in nature like this where these two different species will team up to do something together. And I like that idea of a tech bro teaming up with nonprofits, like these being two really different species coming to go do something. And so the honey guide will will scout where honeycombs are, and the badger will follow the honey guide. The badger tears it open with its claws, and then they both share the honey. And that's the principle of it. And so I like us being the honey guide, and I love the honey badger being this sort of aggressive animal that like gets stuff done. That's how I view nonprofit leaders. But this mutualistic relationship to where if we do this together, I think we're helping empower these nonprofits to make the world a better place, which will only benefit us. So it does have this sort of spiraling upwards feel. And my kids love animals and they don't care at all about what I do. But when I show them my website and I was like, we got a honey guide, we got a honey badger, and they're like, those are cool.
Yeah.
I am cool. And we just get to do that for fun. We get to have fun. And I'm not worried about like, will this scale? What will my investors think? I'm like, I like this. Yeah, and people that like me will probably like it too. And that's all I have to worry about.
Yep. It's powerful. We're going to end on that. That was absolutely perfect. Love you, brother. Thank you for being here. Been looking forward to it. Everyone go check out Honeystack.agency. I love the website. That's a whole lot of fun. I really enjoy the part where you're stuck with my ADD. It's fun. forces me. It's things I would skip, and
I
it
don't
just
let
I'm
you.
stuck there in the flywheel.
I don't let you.
You don't let me go past it.
I worked really hard on this.
Yeah,
I worked really hard on this. Pay attention to me.
Pay attention
I have
to
11
me.
brothers and sisters. Pay attention to me.
Appreciate you.